Let's now go to Jacob, who is on the line in Ashburn, Virginia. Jacob, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can I help?
So I've been a IT generalist basically for like the last 13 years or so since I got out of college, and I want to specialize, but I'm struggling with trying to find how to ensure that I'm actually going to enjoy what I'm doing without after going through and paying for classes and then paying for like it's expensive software, that sort of thing, in order to do what I want to do. So I'm wondering, how do I go about sort of finding out what I may enjoy doing without having to actually, spend the money and then find out I don't?
Yeah, great question. You're going to use the proximity principle. The proximity principle says in order to do what I want to do, I've got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. One of the big reveals that the proximity principle brings to people is clarity. This is early on. Before we strike out on the journey, it's exactly where you are, Jacob. And so what you want to do is you want to identify multiple IT roles, specific IT roles, because you've been a generalist. So identify 3, 4, 5. I don't care the number, but identify the ones that you're intrigued by the most. So when I say that, are you already starting to crank your brain and you go, okay, I thought of this, I thought of this, I thought of this. Are you tracking with me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. So now what you do is, it's a good old-fashioned list. Make a list. And then what you want to do is start working your personal connections, close connections, acquaintances, friends from college. I don't care. The whole United States is your oyster right now. And what you want to do is you want to be able to connect with, on the phone or in person, people that are in those roles so that you can say, hey, I've been doing this. I'm intrigued in what you do. And you go to school on them and you just do an old-fashioned interview. Just ask them everything about the job. You're going to ask, what do I need to do to be qualified? What does the qualification look like? How expensive is it? What's the minimum? What would the maximum qualification be? You tracking with me so far?
Yes.
So here's what's going to happen. As you do that, and I'm not very good at knowing about IT roles, so Jacob, let me give you a more specific example that I actually had experience with recently. So I was speaking to some high school seniors, and there were a couple gals in the class that were going into nursing, and they were asking, how do I figure out which way I want to go in nursing? I said, well, here's what's great. You need to identify all the different departments that nurses are in. So off the top of my head, I said, obviously, you got labor and delivery nurses. You've got nurses in the ER. You have surgical nurses. You have nurses that are part of that, I'm going to call it registration and prep and getting people ready. My wife just had surgery the other day, so we had one nice lady. It was amazing. Got her all checked in, all the vitals, checked the paperwork. Then another nurse came in for the actual surgery and was her surgical nurse. Then another nurse came in, and she was the anesthesia doctor's nurse. And then I met another nurse who was recovery room nurse. So you see what I'm saying? And so you begin to identify all the roles that are intriguing or interesting to you, and you go sit down and talk with those people. You go online. What's online? Are there webinars in technology space? I'll bet there's webinars. Are there journals, books, conferences, things of that nature? YouTube, get out there and learn everything you can about those positions that you're intrigued by and interested in. And then what's going to happen is the clarity, the information that you get is going to confirm that, yes, I'm still interested, or no, I'm no longer interested. And so that's how you go, oh, this is great. I figured this out on the front end. And so that's how you determine, oh, okay, great. I thought I was wanting to do coding. What I really want to do is troubleshooting and blah, blah, blah. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. You can start laughing at me at any point. But does this make sense? Does this make sense?
Yeah, I guess I've started doing some digging and talking. I've had some chats with some folks. So I've began this because I've listened to you for a little bit. But I guess I just have a bit of a fear that I'm going to, say, hey, I think this is going to work for me. And then go through the trouble of learning it and paying for the classes and all that stuff, get certified as I need. And then I'm going to sit down and try to do it on a day-to-day basis and hate it.
Well, one of the places in my book, The Proximity Principle, is a place to practice. So as you're sitting down with these folks and having conversations and learning, there are going to be some people who are very willing to let you hang out with them for a day or even an hour in the office and watch what they're doing. You realize this, right? It's really not a big
Seems like
deal.
an odd thing.
It's not a big deal in the American workforce for somebody to go, hey, listen, is it okay if my buddy Jacob tags along for a couple hours and he's just going to be silent and he's just going to observe what I'm doing, wants to audit what I'm doing? I just know a lot of workplaces that'd be okay with that. And don't you think in the course of an hour or two, you'd get a good grasp of whether or not that would be interesting to do all day, every day?
Yeah. Seeing real life would probably be a lot better.
That's how you do it. That's proximity. It's not just the conversation for learning. It's also to observe. Get around people that are doing what you want to do. Get in places where it's happening. And Jacob, you're going to get all kinds of clarity, buddy. And then you're going to step forward with great confidence. You got this.